Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. There is another all new news video that we've got in store for you today, talking about some of the biggest headlines that are, of course, buzzing around the world of football right now. But before we get into all of that, I would like to remind you to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things always and from be greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get into the headlines. Okay, so kicking things off, we come to Arsenal Football Club, who may be about to add to their attacking situation right now, as they are allegedly closing in on Manchester City striker Gabriel Jesus. Now, this one has been floating around the rumour mill for some time now. It's been heavily rumoured that Arsenal have been interested in Gabriel Jesus of Manchester City, of course. But this story now appears to be stepping up a little bit in terms of pace and speed, and could become a reality if several reports are to be believed, because they are circulating around this situation and stating that Arsenal and Jesus' representatives are in advanced talks. According to journalist Marcelo Hassan, he has stated that both parties are in advanced talks. There's said to be a 5-year contract that has been on the table from Arsenal for the Brazilian forward, and now the ball is really much in Jesus' court as to what happens there. It's also being rumoured that Arsenal have tabled a £50 million opening bid to Manchester City to sign the Brazilian international, and it could all come around very soon. Negotiations could be all over very soon, and maybe by the end of the season Arsenal will have acquired a new striker. Look, this overall, if this is to go ahead and to work out, would obviously be a win-win-win situation across the board for everybody involved. It works out well for all the parties that are involved in this situation. City are able to cash in on a player that will soon to be not seen as a priority and a requirement, due to obviously the soon-to-be arrival of both Julian Alvarez and Erling Haaland. You've got Arsenal, who are in the market to obviously boost their attacking options, and that was obviously going to be a big priority for them, and then obviously Jesus fits the bill in that aspect. And for Jesus himself, he will obviously get more game time at Arsenal as a result of that, and will therefore get more time on the pitch, get more time to show what he can do. And I think that therefore it's big W's across the board, big W's across the board for everybody involved in this situation. Jesus is said to be looking forward to working with Arsenal, working ahead at the project. He likes the look of the project that's happening with Mikel Arteta and with Arsenal right now. He's also interested in obviously reuniting with Arteta, who was once at Manchester City along with Jesus, of course, before he jumped ship to manage Arsenal. So I think all in all, this will be good for him, and I think it'll also be good for him in the sense that, in my opinion, I don't think Jesus always lacked something for me. There was always something with Jesus that I think he lacked at Manchester City. A club like Manchester City, when they're challenging for all the trophies and all the silverware that is involved season after season, there was something about him that, for me, I didn't think he quite met that Manchester City level. I think a slight drop down, with all due respect to Arsenal, in which there probably is. There's still a lot of expectation on him, but I think with a slightly different style of play and a different way of thinking, and maybe a change of scenery and everything like that, I think that might do him the world of good. But it will be interesting to see if this can obviously get across the line to begin with. But yes, Arsenal very much interested and in talks with one Gabriel Jesus. Watch this space on this one. Switching gears now, we come to Manchester United, and could Frenkie De Jong be on his way to Old Trafford this summer? Well, according to journalist Gerard Romero, Frenkie De Jong to Manchester United is allegedly 95% done. That is according to one Gerard Romero. Now, since he's released that information and said that, there have been a lot of contrasting reports as usual about this. There's been reports that the deal is nowhere near done. It's been nowhere near talked about. There's been interest, but there's nothing concrete at this stage. Barca would be reluctant to sell, but also, given their current financial situation, could be open to it at the same time. All that kind of stuff. Whilst on De Jong's part, he's actually looking for a club that is playing in the Champions League, and obviously United don't fit into that category, but there could be something else that United do decide to use to try and tempt De Jong to arrive at Old Trafford this summer. And I am of course talking about United's soon-to-be manager, Erik ten Hag. He's of course coming in the summer for next season. And if you were to look at the Manchester United team, it does make sense. Midfield is one of the key areas that I believe, and everybody else seems to believe as well, that United need to improve upon. And of course, De Jong being a midfielder fits that bill. What Ten Hag could use to tempt De Jong, though, they may not have Champions League football, but Ten Hag and De Jong did used to work together when obviously they both were at Ajax. De Jong used to play under Ten Hag Ajax a few years ago before jumping ship to Barcelona, so he would obviously know him better than most, and that could obviously tempt De Jong to reunite with his former manager. It's not been quite the dream move, has it? Not been quite the dream move that De Jong was hoping for when obviously he joined Barcelona a few years ago. There have been multiple factors at play as to why it hasn't quite worked out. Obviously, the financial situation hasn't helped, losing key players, that kind of thing, changing of managers, that kind of thing. It hasn't quite worked out for him, but it seems that maybe that his time at Barcelona could be coming to a close this summer, and maybe Manchester United is where his footballing future may lie. Of course, there are said to be a couple of more teams that are said to be monitoring this situation. It could be very interesting to see what the future holds for one Frenkie De Jong. For our next story, we're sort of sticking with Barcelona, because whilst Frenkie De Jong may be on his way out, Philippe Coutinho is definitely on his way out, it seems. Of course, Coutinho is currently on loan at Aston Villa, but it seems that his on-loan spell at Aston Villa will be turned into a permanent one after what was revealed yesterday. Fabrizio Romano on Twitter yesterday tweeted very early this morning saying, official statement expected very soon for Philippe Coutinho to join Aston Villa on a permanent deal. Agreement completed yesterday. Part of paperwork's already signed a few hours ago. Barcelona will receive around 20 million euros included in this year's financial balance. So it seems that Aston Villa have secured one signing for this season, for next season already, in the form of Philippe Coutinho on a permanent basis. He's seemingly felt quite back at home since arriving back in the Premier League and with Aston Villa, and with another season to get to know the players around him, really find his feet again, obviously after losing them with Barcelona. Work even more closely with manager Steven Gerrard, of course, who he said was a big reason as to why he wanted to stay at Aston Villa. He could even get better and better, and maybe even return to the kind of high quality form that of course he once showed at Liverpool all those years ago. I'm sure he's wanting to put the whole Barcelona chapter of his life right behind him after what was a pretty tough and poor times, seemingly for him, both personally and professionally, despite obviously winning a few bits of silverware whilst out there. But his transfer to Barcelona will still go down as one of the worst, or if not the worst, transfer of all time in history, given how much money was spent. But like I say, he's hoping that he can put that part of his life behind him, move forward, move on with Aston Villa and with Steven Gerrard. And I think this could be a very good signing in the making for one, Philippe Coutinho, one, Steven Gerrard, and of course, for Aston Villa Football Club. Elsewhere, there was Premier League action last night, and it was Manchester City who took a big step closer to retaining their Premier League title following an absolutely thumping 5-1 victory against Wolves. City absolutely smashed Bruno Lage's side left, right and centre, and it was the midfield maestro known as Kevin De Bruyne who really put Bruno Lage's side to the sword in this game by scoring 4 out of the 5 goals in what was a truly phenomenal display by the Belgian midfielder to really drag Manchester City towards retaining their Premier League title and winning yet another title at that. The win means that City only need 4 more points from their remaining 2 games. It also helps their goal difference a hell of a lot. The advantage of goal difference is even more heavily in their favour than it was before kickoff in this game. So there is a massive leap forward by City for this. And of course, like I say, we're only needing 4 points from the remaining 2 games, with those 2 games in mind being against both West Ham and Aston Villa. You wouldn't put it past them to achieve that goal and then some, and therefore pick up yet another Premier League title. It seems that it's in City's hands for the taking. We'll obviously just have to wait and see what happens in the final 2 games. Also last night, Chelsea picked up a very good win against struggling Leeds in what was a 3-0 victory by Thomas Tuchel's side. Mason Mount, Christian Pulisic and Romelu Lukaku were all on the score sheet for the Blues last night, as they picked up a much needed 3 points to take them ever closer to securing their top 4 finish for this season, but to also give them a bit of momentum going into Saturday's FA Cup final against Liverpool, that is obviously coming up this very Saturday. For Leeds, they are in serious hot water. Another defeat for them. They are still in the bottom 3, and with both Burnley and Everton having a game in hand over them, it could be all but over for Leeds going forward for this season in the Premier League. They may be returning to the Championship sooner rather than later. Elsewhere, last night, Leicester added insult to injury to an already relegated Norwich side by beating them by 3-0 as well, whilst another side that was already relegated in the form of Watford managed to hold Everton to a goalless draw at Vicarage Road. Moving on to our next story, it revolves around West Ham's midfielder Declan Rice. He's another player whose future is up in the air with his current club, West Ham. He's had a very good season. He's had a couple of good seasons now, to be honest with you. And with all of that combined, it has, of course, led to a lot of interest being directed at the England midfielder from bigger clubs and, of course, clubs that are currently playing within the Champions League. With that being said, it's been said that West Ham are desperate to tie him down, to tie his long-term future down to the club, and that is why yesterday there were reports that West Ham had offered, or said to have offered, an incredible 8-year contract for Declan Rice at the club, and he will be earning around 200k a week should he take that up. Despite this though, there are reports and claims that the midfielder will turn down that contract in the hope of getting a new challenge and a step up from the Hammers and, of course, Champions League football. Manchester United and Chelsea are both 2 teams that are reportedly interested in signing the England midfielder, so I imagine they'll be monitoring this situation as it develops. But interesting times do lie ahead for one Declan Rice, and it'll be interesting to see where his footballing future will lie. Our penultimate story is a story that obviously was made a couple of days ago, but I felt worthy of comment on here. It revolves around Antonio Rudiger, as his move to Real Madrid at the end of the season is a done deal. Contract was up at the end of the season, of course, for Rudiger. There was obviously talk that maybe Chelsea's takeover was done in time to maybe convince Rudiger to stay. Maybe they could have got the sanctions lifted, and maybe Chelsea could have found a way to keep Rudiger on at the end of the season. But obviously, with a lot of interest shown in the centre-back, Chelsea was seemingly facing an uphill battle, especially when Real Madrid come calling. And that is where his footballing future seems to lie with the Spanish Giants, as they have seemingly snapped up the centre-back. Fabrizio Romano, again on this situation, tweeted, "Everything is now done between Real Madrid and Tony Rudiger. The deal has been completed. Club sources confirm he will play for Real. Contract until 2026. There's no option for further season. Official announcement, end of the season. Here we go, confirmed." Big signings. It'll be interesting to see how Rudiger takes to La Liga. I think that this season he's been one of the better centre-backs in the Premier League. He's really stepped up, in my opinion, in terms of not just his defending ability, his awareness and reading of the game, but also in terms of his leadership He was part of a Chelsea defence that for a large part of the season was very difficult to score against, and I think a lot of it was down to him alongside Thiago Silva. It'd be interesting to see how he develops at Real Madrid, whether he gets better under Carlo Ancelotti, of course, and whether or not switching from the back five to the usual back four that Real play will affect him. It's going to be interesting to see how he does in La Liga. But yes, this seems to be all done and dusted. Antonio Rudiger will be a Real Madrid player next season. And finally, I know it's a story that you all know about. It's been everywhere, but I felt the need to talk about it and include it here. Erling Haaland to Manchester City is another done deal. It's done, dusted, completed. Big story for obvious reasons. Haaland being one of the hottest properties in world football today. It's going to be scary to watch him link up with this Manchester City team, especially with the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, of course, who has picked up some serious form recently, none more so than what he displayed last night, as I talked about earlier. And if he obviously continues that kind of form into next season, Haaland is going to feast on goal-scoring records and goals alike, and will obviously make Manchester City even more favourites to win a lot of trophies than they already are for the next campaign. It's a huge deal for City. It reinforces their squad. It strengthens them in a key area that, of course, needed strengthening, and locks down not only just a big player for the here, the now, and the future, but also in a position for years to come. This is a big deal as far as Pep Guardiola and Manchester City are concerned. City's squad just got even stronger, and that is bad news for the majority of the Premier League. And as a Liverpool fan, yeah, I look at it with a little bit of caution. Of course, you have to whenever City make or some sort of rival make these kinds of waves in the transfer market. But overall, I'm okay with this. I have made my peace with the fact that Manchester City were going to sign Erling Haaland a long time ago. I think I made it when, I think I knew this was going to happen, especially when they missed out on Harry Kane last summer. I think I knew the direction in which this was going to lead to. And of course, I've been proven to be right in this case. And to be honest, I am, like I say, I'm a little cautious with this, but I'm also aware that Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool have managed to be strong and overachieve so much, despite obviously Manchester City's transfers and everything along them lines. And I still maintain the full confidence in my team and in my manager to still manage to challenge Manchester City regardless of how much money they throw around. But for this is obviously Man City's moment. This is obviously a massive signing, a monumental signing for Manchester City in the form of Erling Haaland, who is soon to be a Manchester City player and arrive in the Premier League. And I'm sure City fans are absolutely ecstatic and excited at the prospect of Erling Haaland in a Manchester City shirt for next season. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of any of the news stories that I've talked about within this video? I'd love to know your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, down below in the comment section on any of the stories that I've talked about. I'm sure they'll all make interesting reading. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way out if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another all New-Newz video. And I will see you all again soon in another video.